All right, so we're building this company on location. Things are going well. We get through, things explode, like you said, outside of COVID, and now we get to the point where you guys are thinking, how am I going to expand this? So let's talk about the franchise journey itself. What was the defining moment of when you decided you're going to franchise? What prompted it?
Yeah, I would say it's two things actually. Number one was the whole entrepreneur thing I talked about earlier, which is like the ADD of like, well, what's next? Like we had a full-time manager in place, things are going well,
Hmm.
and it's just like we came back to the just like we came back to at the end of the lease of like, the previous place of like, is this it? Is that all there is? And we asked the same question at the end of 2022, and we said, is this it? Like, is this all we're doing? Like, we had a great salary and everything, and like life was easy. Like 2022 was a very easy year for us.
Awesome.
I won't lie. And so one of it was like, well, what's next? Like we just kind of were hungry for challenge for one
Hmm.
reason. But honestly, number two, and even bigger, was just the feeling unethical if we didn't take this move. Meaning the amount of stories, the amount of lives that were impacted, the amount of people that were radically transformed. And we kind of lost touch of that because we weren't in the stores anymore. Like, we had other people in there, but they would always come to us and be like, Brittany over here, or Susan over here, or Bradley over here. Like their life got like they were drinking, five, Red Bulls a day, and
Oh.
like they like were on E all the time, and like they're like a completely different person. And we would hear those stories over and over and over and over again. And we're like, okay, like we feel unethical if we just hold this here. Like that's actually what moved us forward because we're like, oh, this is probably gonna be hard. Like this is probably gonna be hard. That's what gave us enough fuel to actually take the jump forward, and be like, all right, like let's do this. And so we had two routes, right? We could pick we're gonna open more corporately on stores,
Right.
or are we gonna open franchise, right? There's kind of two methods of expansion, at least in the brick and mortar world, right?
Sure.
It's a question we get all the time, which is like, yeah, how did you choose the franchise route versus the manager, corporate owned stores route? And it goes back to the how can we help more people faster? For us, it was less about the money. It's like, yeah, we can make way more money, obviously, by opening our own individual stores, like on
Hmm.
a per store basis. But it wasn't really about that. It was like, can I do a value exchange with someone in Tampa, for example, and be
Right.
like, hey, Frank, you go open in Tampa. Like, you can help all these people. And like, that's a win in our head. And like, I'll just take a small cut, aka a royalty, right? But it's like,
Mhm.
that's just more important to us is like, why we set out to even take the next step was like just to help people, and like
Yeah.
our needs are already met. Honestly, I tell honestly all of our candidates all this all the time. I tell our franchisees this all the time, and like I don't have to do this for money because here's the beauty: is like for me, it was like the money part ended when like for me the top of the top was like I can go to a restaurant and not look at the bill. Like
Hmm.
that to me was like the top. Like I don't need anything beyond that, and I haven't. And that happened in 2022, for example. And so it's like since like early 2022, it's like that reality has been true for me. It's just
Yeah.
like I no longer do it for money. I do it for other reasons. That's what keeps me hungry and keep me motivated. Keeps both myself and Rachel motivated at the end of the day. So that's how we got into franchising. We said, how can we expand faster so we can help more people at the end of
That's
the day? And
amazing.
that
Garrett, I think what's so amazing about that is that you realized that what life was really about for you, your business, was serving a much higher purpose. And you operate totally different when your strategy is a higher purpose and you're serving others versus just to serve yourself and make more money. Because, like you said, I mean, you could have opened the company on locations. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with people that want to do that or they're motivated by money. But you just operate at a different frequency when you're really there to serve others, and the business gets to grow so much deeper and richer. And the culture also is different when you have a team that adheres to that same belief and believes what you and Rachel believe, right?
100%. We have a saying internally, which is give first with no expectation in return. And you
Beautiful.
you would be amazed at what that does. So it's like, what does that mean? We give to our employees, like we'll set aside XYZ amount every month and just be like, I'll show up with Starbucks or I'll show up with just out of the blue. Like I don't even
Right.
know what's coming. Here you go. That's what that would mean at like an employee level. At a storefront level for them, it's like, hey, just like we actually have a system internally where it's like, how often are we just giving out free services to our members or just honestly people in general when it's the right timing? And so we actually have a metric that we track of like, how often are we giving stuff away?
Yeah.
Because like, that's actually like, it's just funny when you don't equate giving with like expecting a return, it's
Mhm.
actually even that much better at the end of the day. Because, what's funny is the more you just give, the more you actually just get, especially the more you just truly say like, I'm just going to give. Like I'm just going to give
with no expectations in return.
That's the key difference, is like, I'm just going to keep giving. I'm going to give so abundantly, so much that would almost be unreasonable, because that's in my control. I can just keep giving. I can keep giving so abundantly, so much to where it's almost unreasonable that things probably wouldn't come back to me at some point in the future. But I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to give.
I love this. I could talk a whole hour about this, because there are so many entrepreneurs that go in with the mindset of, you know, you have the dollar signs kind of dancing in your eyes about how big I can make my business. But there's a huge differential when you run a business with the abundance mindset like you have and Rachel has, and you've created this culture, versus a scarcity mindset, because there are people listening to this right now. They're going, well, I can't do that. I can't give all of this away. I might not get it back. But when you live freely the way you do in that mindset, it's incredible on having that faith that you do get it in return, and you know, 10 times back to you.
Yeah, it's very true. And obviously for myself, like I didn't come out of the womb thinking this way. Like,
of course not.
I go through experiences to shift my mindset from being scarce of like, you know, I'm going to punish an employee because they made a mistake, versus like, hey, we were able to get another swing at that. You know, we got to learn from this one. We can go get the next one. Like, there's going to be that next opportunity out there. And like, obviously, like, just switching from scarce, like, this is the last time, we're never going to, you know, get out of this again, to like, oh, we have multiple swings at the bat. We have multiple customers we can treat. We have multiple franchisees that are in the system that we can find the right ones. That mindset will allow you to win. And in my opinion, in all facets of business.
Thank you for tuning into the Emerging Franchise Brands podcast. For additional insights, guest applications, and to stay connected, visit us at efbpodcast.com. The Emerging Franchise Brands podcast is for entertainment purposes only, and the views expressed do not necessarily represent those of Emerging Franchise Brands, its host Frank Fumey, or Emerging Franchise Group, LLC. Any discussed franchise or investment opportunity requires thorough investigation, obtaining proper disclosure documents, and expert consultation before making any investment decisions. The podcast and its host do not offer professional advice or endorsements, and they hold no responsibility for actions, representations, accuracy, or consequential damages related to the podcast content.